Taking a little nap. I looked up, you were here, said, oh my gosh.
It's your life.
She told me faithfully, she doesn't remember this. That last, one Sunday?
Yeah, last Sunday she was here. She was first one here.
Yeah.
And she was really proud of herself. She was really proud of herself.
Is Ava coming?
No, she's not coming. No.
Yeah, I was. I see. Honest to goodness. I stand asleep.
That's okay. We'll.
Rain. Oh my God. I heard it about 3 times. That's all I heard. It was an answering machine that picked up when you picked up and said, thank you. Oh, yeah? The answering machine had already answered. I thought, is that the answering machine? Oh. Like that or her? Because I was just fixing to talk to it. Oh, my goodness.
I understand that. That's
every other place I have to be, I'm on time. Why can't I get in?
I don't know. Sunday, it's the Sunday afternoon.
I'll be in an hour early. Hold on, let me see. I looked real quick. Well, thank you for calling. Thank you for being my friend.
Okay. All righty. We are going to get started. We finished last time. We ended at Daniel chapter 7, verse 8. And we'd gone through and talked about the 4 different beasts. The first one is the lion with eagle's wings. I don't know if I'm right or not, but I was driving to church this morning, and over by the wellness center, I would swear I saw a bald eagle.
Yeah, there's plenty of them. If you just go down Liquor, they're all out
So
there.
that's not that, okay. Because it had a white head and a white tail. And I was like, it was a really big wingspan. I thought, that has got to be a bald eagle.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be.
Every once in a while, you'll see one sitting in a tree. He was flying?
Yeah, he was flying. Here you go. I gave those out last time. Yeah. Yeah, and that, but it's one of those that you see it first, and you're like, that can't be a bald eagle, And then, but I couldn't think of what else would have a white head and white tail and that big of a wingspan. And so I was like, I wish I would have seen him like set in a tree, but I didn't see that. So.
Well, I can take you down there and let you.
Okay, well.
When we were in Sitka, they were everywhere. Remember that, Linda? At all sizes and ages. The little ones and the bigger ones. Oh, it was wonderful. North of Warner, if people pay attention like I do, there's a farmhouse right there, right before you drop off to that bridge, and they have ducks and geese and all kinds of animals. And I think that was probably his downfall. And he was in the road. I swear he took up almost the whole lane. Oh my goodness. He was laying on his back and had his wings out like this, and he had his head up. And a DOT truck had stopped and had their lights flashing. So no one would come this way and hit him. And I'm trying to find out if I can.
If they ever found him
I know
they found him, but whether.
But how he's. But we were like from me to you as we went by. Oh my gosh, the size of them is just amazing.
Huge. It was huge. Yep. Okay. Well, think of that. This is a lion, and it had the eagle's wings. This is the first beast, and the wings were plucked off, and it was lifted from the ground and made to stand on 2 feet like a human being. And so that's the one we've interpreted that was Babylon.
Okay, where are you now?
I just went backwards. That's verse 4. Verse 5 is the second beast. That's a bear. It's raised up on one side, has 3 tusks, or what was the other? Ribs in its mouth among its teeth, and it was the one that was told, "Arise, devour many bodies." Then the next one is a leopard, and it had 4 wings of a bird on its back, 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. And then the last beast is one that there's no description, so we don't know what it looks. It's horrible. It's terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. Iron teeth, right? Which makes it sound like that guy in the James Bond thing,
No, yeah.
You know, the guy that had metal teeth, right? Yeah.
What's his name? Chopper.
No. Now, and be careful. My footnotes give a down at the bottom say the little horn, which the 10 horns, and then one little one comes up and it puts away 3. It says that is Antiochus Epiphanes, who gained his throne by uprooting others. That is some guy's opinion. That there's nothing that really substantiates that in any of this. And mine says that it's the Babylonians, the Medes, the Persians, and the Greeks, and I think most people now say that it's the Babylonians and the Medes, Persians are one, then the Greeks, then the Romans, and then a second thing of Romans. So, but okay, so we're at the point where this little horn has come up. It's uprooted 3 of the other bigger horns, plucked them up by the roots, and there are eyes in this horn and a mouth, and the mouth is think talk radio. Whoever it is you don't like, or the one of the people on the news that you don't like, or whoever, somebody on The View. It's somebody, it's somebody, or
everybody,
or whoever it is that you see as speaking arrogantly. That's sort of what this is. Okay, so then in verse 9, that's where we begin tonight. As I watched, thrones were set in place, and an ancient one, and mine has a footnote that says that could also be Ancient of Days.
That's what mine says, Ancient of Days.
Ancient of Days. So that's a possible translation as well. In fact, that's the Aramaic is Ancient of Days in Aramaic.
And mine says down at the bottom, Ancient of Days, God.
Well, right. That would be reference to God, right? Yeah. But it's just whether it's Ancient One, Ancient of Days, it's the same thing. I mean, it's God.
Oh, okay.
Took his throne. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. So think white, white clothes, white woolly kind of hair, very, very white and pure. His throne was fiery flames, and its wheels were burning fire. Now, I never thought of a throne having wheels. Maybe it's like a wheelchair or something. I don't know, but
God is pretty old.
Yeah, I mean he's the ancient one, so maybe he has to be in a wheelchair. But his wheelchair is so cool. It's like in flames. Okay, so this is a really cool chair. It's fiery flames, and the wheels are burning fire. A stream of fire issued and flowed out from his presence. So there's like a river of fire, right? A stream of fire that comes out of his presence. And 1,000 thousands serve him. And 10,000 times 10,000 stood attending him. So he's got all of these servants all around him, right? The court sat in judgment, and the books were open. And what would we think of the books being? I mean, it doesn't tell us what the books are.
Well, it's got a little thing here. Let me see if I can see it. This is so little. 13. Huh?
I mean, I would think probably it's the Book of Life, something along those lines. The Revelation, there were books that were involved where your name was written in the Book of Life and those kinds of things. So that's probably how we would see it. But it's interesting that you get all the way down to there. You get the books open, so you have a court. You have some kind of a court, and by court there, it's like a legal court, and he's a part of that. So it's a court, right? That's what we're looking at, is a court that sets in judgment. But you've got all of these thousands and thousands of people that attend him, the stream of fire, his throne that's flames and burning wheels, and you've got the way he looks. But at the very beginning, it says thrones were set in place. Thrones,
thrones.
not a throne, but thrones. And I find that it's interesting that we get it's obviously more than one because it's plural, and so it's more than one throne. But all we hear about at this point is the one, right? And so just remember that there is going to be, and I think that we're going to hear about that one in just a minute. But it's the fact that we have another throne sitting there that we haven't heard about yet.
This ties back to Revelation 19,
Mm-hmm.
verse 11, and then
this sounds like a lot of Revelation. The thing with the square with the same. I mean the imagery is very, very similar.
One says that too. It echoes his language in judgment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Judgment scene.
Okay, so we've got the scene is set. You got all of this stuff, and remember we still have the beasts. The beasts are still present. I don't know how in relation to where they are in relation to everything, but they're still there. He's still seeing them. I watched then because of the noise of the arrogant words that the horn was speaking. So this is the little horn, right? That has grown up on the fourth beast. And it has human eyes, and it has this apparent mouth that's yammering, yep, right? And it's arrogant. And I would assume probably blasphemous and all kinds of stuff, right? As I watched the beast, so that's the fourth. We're talking when he says the beast, that's the fourth beast. The beast was put to death, and its body destroyed and given over to be burned with fire. As for the rest of the beasts, so the beast refers to four, and then the rest of the beasts are 1, 2, and 3, right? So 1, 2, and 3. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Now, what is a season and a time? Does any of yours say what?
It says a period of time.
right, since we're allowed to live a short time longer.
Okay, a short time longer. So it's not a specific amount of time. And I'm not sure. We'll see if that comes back up, if those beasts do something or not. But they are allowed to live. So the big bad beast is destroyed at this judgment, at the beginning of this judgment. But the others are allowed to live. They don't have any dominion. They don't have any control or power or anything, but they're allowed to live. As I watched in the night vision, so as in this vision he's watching, I saw one like a human being. And in Aramaic, the other translation is I saw one like a son of man. Okay, so I think son of man normally is referred to as a human. So he sees a human coming with the clouds of heaven. And he came to the Ancient One, or the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. So to him was given dominion and glory and kingship, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that shall not pass away, and his kingship is one that shall never be destroyed. Now, for us reading this now, we would say that this is reference to Jesus. At the time, and for Jews, even for Jews at Jesus's time, they would have read this, and their interpretation would have been that this is the Messiah, right? I mean, they would not have known who the person the person was specifically, but they would know and would probably say that this is the Messiah. Now, mine says again, and I'm not saying this is not. I'm not saying this is right, but this is just what he says. This person says this figure represents the faithful Jews and should probably be identified as the Archangel Michael, though he was traditionally identified as the Messiah. And I think that's right. I think that I don't see how you can see that that's the Archangel Michael. I don't see how you can see that that's all faithful Jews. It's a person. It is a single person that is going to rule in some kind of kingdom. And so I don't agree with the person who wrote my stuff at the bottom. So okay, so we have this human that is going to be given this glory and kingship, dominion over all people, nations, and languages. His dominion is everlasting; it shall not pass away, and his kingship is one that shall never be destroyed. Now, when you look at that, if they identify this as the Messiah, then now think about how when Jesus comes and they are waiting for the coming of the Messiah, you can see where Jesus doesn't fit in this to begin with, right? I mean, they're looking for someone that this would happen. They would say, now he's going to be able to take dominion and his kingdom will never end and all this kind of stuff. And so that's where you get the Jews didn't accept him, or a lot of them, because he didn't meet what they thought was the Messiah was going to be. We look back and say that, well, this, I would say, well, this wasn't talking about on earth, right? I mean, this is talking about in the company of God in heaven on a throne. This is at a different time. But for them, they were seeing someone that would lead a military uprising and take dominion, and his kingship would never go away and all that kind of stuff. And it didn't work for them. And that was too bad. That was too bad. Okay, so verse 15. As for me, Daniel, my spirit was troubled within me. Or it says troubled in its sheath, which is kind of strange. I'm not sure why your spirit would be in a sheath, but his spirit was troubled. And the visions of my head terrified me. I approached one of the attendants, so one of the many thousands and thousands of people that are attending to God, to ask him the truth concerning all this. So he said that he would disclose to me the interpretation of the matter. And so now it goes in parentheses. So this is that attendant speaking. As for these 4 great beasts, 4 kings shall arise out of the earth. But the holy ones of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever, forever and ever. Okay, so that's a pretty surface level interpretation, right? So that he starts with it that you have 4 kingdoms; those are the 4 beasts, but that there is then going to be this holy ones of the Most High, who are going to receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever. And that's the Messiah. That's this person that is as a son of man, right? So that's a really very superficial. I mean, if I were Daniel, I would have said, well, I could have figured that part out. I mean, give me a little more, right?
Interesting that he goes to somebody else when he was the one that interpreted the other dreams.
But he always said, every time he always said that it wasn't him, that the interpretation was given to him by God. And so maybe this is how he was always able to do that.
Yeah.
He in some kind of vision,
but they weren't his dreams
God.
either.
Yeah, they weren't his dreams, and these are his dreams.
But
and
this
so
is his dream.
this
So
is
he,
his.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, but this is what he's doing this time. Okay, so 19. Then I desired to know the truth concerning the 4th beast, So he was okay with the first three beasts, their kingdoms, but that fourth beast is a little different, right? It's got the horns and all that kind of stuff, right? So he wants to know the truth, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly terrifying, with its teeth of iron and claws of bronze. Now, that's something, right? If you look at the description,
That wasn't.
that's not in it. It doesn't say that. So this is he gives us a little more detail there of something. It's got claws of bronze, and which devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with his feet, in which he did talk about. And concerning the 10 horns that were on its head, the 10 different horns, and concerning the other horn, which came up, and to make room for which 3 of them fell out, the horn that had eyes and a mouth that spoke arrogantly, and that seemed greater than all the others. So he's very terrified by this, right? And he wants to know the truth about this fourth beast. So which he's not worried that much about the first 3. Then the first 3 don't. He doesn't seem to mind the one that's a bear that has ribs in his mouth. It's like he's been eating people, and he's got ribs sticking out of his mouth, and he's supposed to devour many bodies. And he's not, that concerned with the leopard that has dominion over all, and all that. But this fourth one really bothers him. The fourth one really bothers him. As I looked, so this is this. As I looked, this horn made war with the Holy One, and was prevailing over them until the Ancient One came. Then judgment was given for the holy ones of the Most High, and the time arrived when the holy ones gained possession of the kingdom. So now this is something different, right? This is not something that we've seen. He's describing that as this fourth beast, this is something that happens from when the fourth beast, when this other little horn comes up and begins doing its thing, right? And it causes it leads this fourth beast to make war on the holy ones. And in mind, the holy ones are not capitalized. It's little h, little o. Right? Is that? I mean, so it's not. How do your guys read that? That's in verse 21.
This one says you were against the saints.
Okay, the saints. Okay, so holy ones are and saints. Yeah. So those are the believers, right? All right. Okay, and in this day and age, we interpret saints to mean the people in the church that will ultimately be, And this is sort of an end time thing. I'm not sure who they would see as the holy ones, other than I guess good faithful Jews. But you can see it either way. And he is prevailing over them until the Ancient One came, which would then be, that's the scene that he saw, right, where the thrones come. So we have this sort of conflict and battle that happens in between verse 8 and verse 9, right? Verse 8 is this fourth beast coming and what it's like, and then in verse 9, the thrones and the Ancient One come, and it's during that time that this beast is destroyed. So there's time there where there's a war, right? And the Ancient One comes, then the judgment was given for the holy ones of the Most High. So the holy ones are the saints. Judgment is given for them. And the time arrives when the holy ones gain possession of the kingdom. All right. So that's his, and it's interesting because he still desires to know the truth concerning the fourth beast. He's just describing again what the beast looks like, and this time we know it has bronze claws. But we hear about this war, but we still haven't. Nothing has told him anything about this fourth one. until 23. This is what he said. Okay, so it would appear in 23, this is what he said. I would assume that this is the same attendant that he was talking with before. Right? Okay. I mean, that would make sense to me, is that, I mean, it doesn't indicate that he was talking to anyone else. He had approached the attendant and asked what all this meant, and then he kind of retells the story, and then this is what I assume the attendant says. As for the fourth beast, there shall be a fourth kingdom on earth that shall be different from all the other kingdoms. It shall devour the whole earth, trample it down, and break it to pieces. So it's I mean, this is a big bad kingdom, right? It devours the whole earth, tramples it down. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall arise after them. So this is sort of, you get two parts, right? You get the 10 horns, the 10 kings, and then after them will come this other king, and he will uproot some of them. And I think that's probably where how you get people that talk about the idea that this fourth beast represents Rome as it existed in the past, and also maybe a Roman type government that will exist in the future that will be led by this small horn, right? So that, because you've got a period when it's 10 horns, and then you've got a period when it's this one little horn that's causing all the problems, right?
The little horn is the Antichrist.
Okay, right, and that would be how. So that's how you would get to the Antichrist, right? King shall rise, and then another shall arise after them. This one shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings. He shall speak words against the Most High, shall wear out the holy ones of the Most High, and shall attempt to change the sacred seasons and the law. And they shall be given into his power for a time, 2 times, and a half time. Okay, now, and that is the time, 2 times and a half time, is a prediction. A time, 2 times would be 3.5, right? Okay, 3.5, and it's one of those. That's one of those that it depends on how you interpret that, because I think that there are some people that interpret it as just 3.5 years, and then others interpret it as, if you're looking in times, they interpret it as, does this mention that somewhere? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mention what the time. I'm thinking it seems like it's like 70 years or something like that.
This is times on it.
Does yours have times? What is it?
Well, just so what time we're talking about Rome?
Yes.
Well, it's a new Rome.
It's a new kind of a new Rome. Yes.
Okay, this says like 63 BC, and
No, that's going to be, that's the actual
until 63 BC.
Okay, that's going to be the old. That's the old part.
That's the old one.
Yeah.
Go further down.
Is there something below that?
This one doesn't go any further.
It doesn't go any further. So it just ends with. But I think that it's identified as a longer period than that, and that is that period where the beast is kind of loose and that type of thing. I don't remember exactly, but it's like 70 years or something like that. Okay, but this is all interesting stuff. It shall attempt to change the sacred seasons and the law. Now that's interesting. It changes the sacred, and for us, the sacred seasons, we read this from a Christian perspective. If you're Jewish and you read it from a Jewish perspective, the sacred seasons are different because they still celebrate what they consider sacred times, Yom Kippur and all of those that we don't celebrate. We celebrate Easter and Christmas and that type of thing. And I think that some of this and the idea that this is the Antichrist is where you will get people that will say the Pope is the Antichrist because they've changed when things are celebrated and they've changed the seasons and they've changed the law and they've changed the Sabbath. We no longer worship on the Sabbath and all that. There are those that do that. I don't think that that's what this is talking about. I think that this is some kind of attempt to change things a lot more than that. A lot more.
Mine says change all laws, morals, and customs.
Okay. Laws, rules, and customs.
This one says set times, to change the set times of the laws.
Well, and interestingly enough, now I'm sure you all know that Israel does not function on the calendar that we function on. They still function on the original. So for them, it's like, I don't know what year, it's like 7,000, something. I mean, it's like that. But then also you've got people that still function on the Julian calendar, I think is what it is. Are we on the Gregorian?
I think we're on the Gregorian.
Okay. I think they're still, and that's why the Orthodox Church doesn't have Christmas and Easter always at the same time we do, because it may be on December 25th would be Christmas, but for them it falls differently because they're on a different calendar. And so that could be, it's one of those things that I think I like the idea of morals and customs and that type of thing more than just set times, because changing calendars was not done religiously. I mean, it wasn't done for religious purposes. It was done to try to better match the calendar with the lunar cycles and all of those kinds of things. So
that was done back in 1753, I believe it was.
When we went to the Gregorian, something like that. Yeah. So it wasn't, and I don't think the Antichrist was big on. I mean, I don't think he had a big influence on that. So I think that this is talking about something else, right? Something else. Okay. Then, so now it continues on. So there's for a time, 2 times, and a half time, which would be 7. We said would be 3.5 or 7 or 70 or who knows what. Then the court, 26. Then the court shall sit in judgment. Okay, so this court that is with God, the Ancient of Days, and his court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion, his being the beast, this fourth beast, shall be taken away, to be consumed and totally destroyed. The kingship and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the Holy One of the Most High. So when this fourth beast, who we would say in the little horn that is the Antichrist, right? Whenever that is destroyed, it's taken away, consumed, and totally destroyed, burned. It's burned in the lake of fire. Then the kingship and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven, so all of that is given to the people of the people of the holy ones of the Most High. Their kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey them. Now, interesting, because how is that shifted? because that language sounds very similar to something else up above. What does that sound like? Sound to me,
It like Nebuchadnezzar.
No. It's if you go to the if you go up above where you see the one that is a human being, I saw one like a human being, right? And it's to him was given dominion and glory and kingship, that all people, nations, languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that shall not pass away, and his kingship is one that shall never be destroyed. Then you get this kingship and dominion shall be given to the people of the holy ones of the Most High. Their kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey them. So you get the one that is the individual that we identify as the Messiah, and then here you get people. You get a greater group of people, and maybe this is where Christ says that we will rule with him. And so maybe that's what we're talking about, is that you have the Messiah ruling, and then the saints, the holy ones, rule with him. And so that maybe those two kind of go together. Does that make sense? At least to some degree. And so then they would be, the holy ones would be, and see, mine in here says holy ones are angels. Okay. I think this guy's kind of touched in the head. So 28, here the account ends. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly terrified me, and my face turned pale, and I kept the matter in my mind. But he was asleep, so I'm not sure. It's kind of weird that this is a dream that he has. He's asleep, but he turns pale, but he keeps it in his mind. So it's going in his mind.
Is he still asleep while he's getting this interpretation?
It appears, he says, as I watched in the night visions. I mean, this all appears to be taking place. As for me, Daniel, my spirit was troubled within me, and the visions of my head terrified me. I approached. I mean, it would appear that he's still asleep. This is all still a vision. I mean,
it's kind of like John's visions, where they're interactive,
Yeah. Maybe he's awake. Maybe he's asleep.
Kind of in La La Land.
Yeah.
Haven't you ever had dreams where you're doing things in the dreams?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the same.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you kind of wake up and you go back. You might pick right up there.
Yeah, if I don't want to dream it anymore, I have to get up and walk around a little bit. And I'll pick it right back up.
But so it doesn't. I mean, it appears that all of that is in a dream. I mean, and I would say probably that last verse is talking about afterwards, right? Here the account ends. The dream is over. But then when he wakes up, as for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly terrified me. So as he remembers all of this stuff, he's terrified, and his face turns pale, and he keeps these matters in his mind. He contemplates them. Now he's going to have another vision. So we get, and that's why on these sheets, why you have 7 and 8. The blue one especially has 7 and 8, because some of 8 corresponds with some things that are in 7. So they wanted, you kind of needed that.
We got horns again.
Yep.
Interesting, because John had horns all over the place.
Yes.
Horns are really
horns. For some reason, in this apocalyptic literature, horns are a big thing. Too bad they aren't like jazz horns or something else, something like that. They're never really good. They all seem to be bad.
They're weird.
Okay. So chapter 8, in the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, and this vision is dated 2 years later than 7, all right? Because 7 was in the 1st year, right? Yeah. 7 begins in the 1st year of King Belshazzar. So this is in the 3rd year. A vision appeared to me, Daniel, after the one that appeared to me at first. So this is another vision. After the first one happened 2 years ago. Now I'm going to have another one. All right. In this vision, I was looking now this one doesn't say, the other one says, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head as he lay in bed. This one doesn't say a dream. This one says a vision appeared to me. After the one, so in the vision. So
Mine says I had another dream.
okay. Okay, so maybe he's asleep and it's a dream. Mine does not say for sure, but it may be. It may be. In the vision, I was looking and saw myself in Susa, the capital. And mine has a foot thing that says, placing the seer in Susa, the winter capital of the Persian kingdom. Okay, so this is Persian. So that means the Babylonians have already gone away. No, because Belshazzar is Babylonian. But he's in, okay, he is in Babylonia, but the vision puts him in Persia, right? He's in the winter capital of the Persian kingdom. In the province of Elam, it says Elam F. Theodosian. I don't know. It doesn't. In province of Elam, and I was by the river Ulai, or the Ulai gate. Okay, so we don't. I mean, I don't know anything about those places, but so he's in a capital, the capital of the Persians. It's in this certain province by a river. I looked up and saw a ram standing beside the river. It had 2 horns. Now, a ram, though, you would expect to have horns. I mean, a ram is an animal that normally would have horns. So that doesn't. It's when you have this character that should not have horns that has 10 horns. That's one thing. But a ram actually is an animal that normally would have horns. Both horns were long, but one was longer than the other. And the longer one came up second. Okay, so he sees a ram standing by the river. In order for him to know that the second one, that the longer one came up second, that means that as he's watching, the horns grow, right? Mm-hmm. It spouts horns, and my original thinking is like a bighorn sheep, but it's not like that. Probably think more like a what is it, a pronghorned elk or something? Those that the horns go, or whatever. There are lots of them over in Africa. Lots of different animals that have horns that grow like straight up. But so the first one grows and it's a certain length, and then the second one starts and it grows longer than the first one.
This says the ram represents the Medo Persian Empire. The longer of the 2 horns reflects the predominant position of Persia.
Okay, right. Or it could also be that if you remember that we know that Daniel deals with 2 kings. He deals with Darius and Cyrus. And Cyrus is the more powerful, and so it may be that the horns could also refer to Cyrus. I mean, I don't know that you can say that for sure, but that would make. I mean, it makes sense. Okay. Saw the ram. Okay, here we go. Now, so it's got these long horns, one longer than the other one. I saw the ram charging westward and northward and southward. Okay. So he's running around in circles, appears to be, but he's charging in all these different directions. All beasts were powerless to withstand it. Okay, so beast, it's a beast and it's a kingdom. So all beasts, all other kingdoms are going to be powerless to withstand it, and no one could rescue from its power. It did as it pleased and became strong. So it's going to move off westward, northwest, and south, and probably the fact that it doesn't go the other way has to do with maybe that it's ocean or water or something where it can't go that direction. So it's moving over that part of the earth that where it can go, and nothing can stand in its way. There's no kingdom that's strong enough. As I was watching, a male goat appeared from the west. Now, we have a goat and a sheep. We know that in New Testament, sheep and goats, the sheep tend to be good and the goats tend to be right. I mean, we can't tend to be bad, but don't that's. I don't think that Jesus intended us to think that sheep are good and goats are bad. I don't think that was what we're supposed to get, because there were people that's what they did. They raised goats. Well, they're not bad, inherently bad. It's just they were used as metaphors for people. So this is a goat. So the first one is a ram, right? Strong, huge. The second one, a male goat, appears from the west, coming across the face of the whole earth without touching the ground.
This says a horn between its eyes.
Yes, we're going to get there, but it doesn't. Oh. It comes across. It moves across the earth without touching the ground. It's almost like it flies, right? The goat had a horn, or one horn, between its eyes. It's a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. Maybe that's where they got the song. It definitely is a unicorn. I mean, it's a unicorn. It's got one horn. Yeah. Okay, so it's got the one horn that comes out from between its eyes. It came towards the ram with its two horns. The ram has its two horns. The goat has one, that had been standing beside the river, and it ran at it with savage force. I saw it approaching the ram. It was enraged against it and struck the ram, breaking its two horns. The ram did not have power to withstand it. It threw the ram down to the ground and trampled upon it. And there was no one who could rescue the ram from its power. Then the male goat grew exceedingly great. But at the height of its power, the great horn was broken. And in its place, there came up four prominent horns towards the four winds of heaven. Okay, and so if you look at the little thing over here, if the Persian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, is the ram with the two horns, then the male goat, is Greece, and who is the leader of Greece? Alexander the Great, right? And Alexander the Great actually dies fairly young. And so that may be then this reference to the idea that at the height of its power, the great horn was broken, right? That Alexander dies. And in its place, there came four prominent horns towards the four winds of heaven. And I know that the Greek empire was divided into, and I don't know if it was 4. I was only thinking 3, but I could be wrong. But it was divided amongst 3 or 4 different people, so that there wasn't one person that becomes the ruler of the Greeks. It's divided up, right? And that would explain then this smaller horns that would grow up and become prominent. Out of them came another horn, a little one, which grew exceedingly great towards the south, towards the east, and towards the beautiful land. Now, what does yours say about the beautiful land?
Mine says land of Israel.
The land of Israel. Okay. Huh. Okay.
This says another horn emerges not from the 10 horns belonging to the 4th kingdom, but rather from one of the 4 horns belonging to the 3rd kingdom. The horn that started small is Antiochus, the 5th, Epiphanes, who during the last few years of his reign, made a determined effort to destroy the Jewish faith. He in turn served as a type of the even more ruthless beast of the last days, the Antichrist, who is also referred to in chapter 7-8 as a little horn. Antiochus was to extend his power over Israel, the beautiful land, and defeat the godly believers there, many of whom died for their faith. Then he set himself up to be the equal to God, the prince of the host, and ordered the daily sacrifices to end. Eventually, the army of Judas Maccabeus recaptured Jerusalem and rededicated the temple to the Lord.
Okay. All right. So now remember, this is somebody's opinion.
Right. Well, see, mine doesn't tell all that, but it tells who the 4.
Right. Yeah, mine does. As I look down here, Cassandra, Lysimachus, Seleucus, and Ptolemy. Right?
Ptolemy I of Egypt, Seleucus of Babylonia, Antiochus of Syria and Asia Minor, and Antipater of Macedonia and Greece.
Okay.
That's the kingdom?
Yeah, the 4. That's the 4 that it's divided into. Right. But the interpretation of who this little horn is that's somebody's interpretation. That's not necessarily, all of this is we don't know for sure. Okay, tell you what, we're at a point where we're going to stop. So I'm going to stop our
at 9 or
yes, we would stop it at we'll start at 9 next time.